Hey everybody, this is Joseph Vogely of Stoegele Films. I am the co-writer, the director, and the creator of the new slasher sensation Specimen 6, which will be out on DVD June 2020, as well as digital and other platforms so that people can watch it. And welcome to another episode of Stoegele Films Reviews, where we usually talk about things that inspire us as artists and creators and filmmakers and the like. And this week we were talking about Stuart Gordon because he passed away a couple days ago. Just really a real cherry on top of all this other shit that is going on in the world. And so I gotta say that one hit me pretty hard, and I'm still, still dealing with it. I guess I always end up getting pretty sad when some of my favorite directors and actors, because I'm a horror movie fan at heart, and so when somebody passes away that I really love their film and they really shape me as a person, such as Stuart Gordon. Like his movie that we're talking about today, The Reanimator, is his first film. It's such a terrific film, and being that it was his first one, he started out in the theater doing some really avant-garde sort of stuff in the 60s and 70s with naked Peter Pan people and whatnot. And so when he came to the movies, I think he was really just ready, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. I know there's some stories about how this film, there ended up being his first footage was kind of wonky, and then Charles Band who's the producer, very famous for Full Moon Features. Go check out their streaming because it's really cool. They had to kind of go back and recraft some stuff and kind of say, okay, well, this is how you do this, and then they hit the ground running right after that, and it turned out really great. So the movie stars Bruce Abbott as Dan Kane. It stars Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West. Jeffrey Combs is one of my favorite actors of all time. He is best known for this film and its sequels, but he's also been in hundreds of other things. He was in a lot of the new Star Trek shows. And Barbara Crampton, who is a very nice person, she plays Megan Halsey. David Gale, who plays Dr. Carl Hill. David Gale has this really great long face and amazing bone structure, so he really pops on screen. There's some pretty interesting stories that I just discovered about poor David Gale and what happened to him after he made this film. There's also Robert Sampson, who plays Dean Halsey, and the way that he goes from being this uptight college professor to being this brainless zombie guy is pretty incredible, and you can really tell what a range of acting he can do, and it's wow, that is real acting there. So anyhow, there's not a whole lot that I'm going to talk a little bit about this. I'm going to read the back here and let you. If you haven't watched this, I'm not going to try to give away too much, but here's the description of the movie. Deep within the morgue at Miskatonic University, madman Herbert West introduces fellow graduate student Dan Kane to his formula for the reanimation of fresh corpses. But the secret of life and death has some very messy consequences. Get ready to experience one of the most outrageously inventive, over-the-top classic horror films of all time. And it is. It truly, truly is. And so Jeffrey Combs gives us an amazing performance as Herbert West. This is based, of course, off the H.P. Lovecraft story, Herbert West, The Reanimator. I have the book right here, and I've read the story several times. And they loosely borrow from that story to make this. Not too loosely, I don't think, because they update it, and the spirit of the story is very much there, if not the linear story itself. Some interesting things about this film. The music is very iconic, but it's the funny thing. It was written. The music was written by Richard Band, that was Charles Band's brother, and I think the producer or Stuart Gordon suggested that he wanted something close to the original Psycho score from 1960, and Richard Band more or less went and kind of lifted. I mean, Richard Band's a really good composer, but he really went and lifted that little thing, that the music. So I'll play the first one right here, right here, and then you can tell There you go. And now, and then you can tell, like, which one's which. It's really kind of hard to tell. But anyhow, so another interesting thing about this film is that they use an actual dead cat in it. So Stuart Gordon was on this podcast with Mick Garris where they talk about that, and apparently he didn't kill the cat. FYI, it's he went to a veterinarian and they already had it like a frozen dead cat, and it's like, hey, can we buy this frozen dead cat from you? And so they did. I mean, I guess it saved them time on making a frozen dead cat from scratch. So. Another great thing about this film is that they use 24 gallons of fake blood. That is a lot of fake blood. Personally, I probably used 4 or 5 gallons so far in Specimen 6. We're done shooting Specimen 6, more or less, so I luckily don't have to cover anybody else in blood for at least a few more months. But that is amazing that they use 24, and it really, really shows. So if you're making a horror movie, you want to cover your three things. You want your blood, which is essential to a good horror movie, unless it's like a haunted house thing. Then you want your blood, you want your boobs. So it's nice to have nudity in a film. Okay, I try my best. We got a little bit. Really excited for that. And then beasts, and there's tons of beasts in this. And so Stuart Gordon really knows how to deliver on those three things. Like, he is a fan of the, well, actually he says that he gets scared. Well, he said that he got scared really, really easily, and so he didn't. He enjoyed horror films, but they ended up like creeping him out too much, and so he ended up like leaving a lot of like theaters and stuff because it was too much for him. Even when he was making films like Castle Freak, apparently like seeing that monster was like way too much. You should watch Castle Freak, which is a very good movie with Jeffrey Combs as well. Full Moon Features presentation, I believe. Another interesting story about this is that David Gale, that plays Dr. Carl Hill, who I talked about, he has this very lovely bone structure. He really pops on the screen. He had to shave his head for the movie and then wear a wig because apparently that was much more to the character that is based out of the story, from what they were saying. Anyhow, he is a really amazing actor. So is Robert Sampson, that plays Dean Halsey. But David Gale, apparently, so there's this scene where David Gale, he has his head cut off, and then they put his head in between Barbara Crampton's legs. So this is that really great moment of blood and boobs and beasts all in one at this. And Barbara Crampton is a very, very lovely actor, but she's sitting there completely nude in the film with her legs spread, beaver shot and all, and it was pretty awesome. I gotta say, I still enjoyed it just as much now as I did when I was like 13 when I first watched this movie. I was like, still awesome, still very awesome. But apparently David Gale, like, he was sitting in the movie theater during the presentation of it, and his wife stands up and says, "David, how could you?" And Stuart Gordon confirmed this later on, and apparently she divorced him for doing this movie. So that's pretty harsh. I mean, I don't think he actually, well, he has like head going right here, and then he's like licking all over Barbara Crampton. It's an amazing performance. There's lots of blood pouring out everywhere. So anyhow, yeah, so I highly recommend H.P. Lovecraft's Reanimator. Before I go, I did want to tell a quick story about meeting Jeffrey Combs, and so he ended up being just as nice and wonderful as I always like hoped that he would be. I went up to him over at Crypticon, and I talked to him. I had him sign my DVD, but I told him that I'm like, well, Robot Jocks, I know you're only in it for a few seconds, but it's really one of my favorite films. And he's ended up telling this lovely story where he said that Stuart Gordon asked him to do that little small part. He said the only reason he did it was so that he'd go over to Spain for, I think it was Spain they shot it, for a week, and that he took his girlfriend just so that he could go propose to her and have this like lovely romantic week and everything like that. But the way he told the story was he was very passionate about it, and it was just very direct. And he was such a nice guy. And Barbara Crampton was a very lovely person. We had very lovely conversations with her as well. So I was really bummed out I didn't get to meet Stuart Gordon. I heard that he was a really nice guy. He seemed like he would have been a really nice guy, and I would have loved to pick his brain about stuff. So, again, that's another episode of Stoegele Films Reviews. This is H.P. Lovecraft's Reanimator. If you haven't seen it, for those young horror aficionados out there, just go out and watch it. And everybody that has seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's still awesome. It's great. All right, everybody, and all this craziness, you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll keep bringing these videos if it helps. Helps me a lot. I'll tell you that much. Thank you guys for being there. Bye.